Many people moving to Canada decide to settle down in Toronto.
Well, it may seem like an easy choice. Dozens of flights from Toronto airport every day, highest population in Canada, limitless job opportunities, good-ish infrastructure, and it sounds perfect, doesn't it?
There is a catch, and we will talk about it in this video. Let's go! We
will share 6 reasons why moving to Toronto will be a bad idea for you. Let's start with the first one.
$100,000 a year before tax is about $52 per hour. If your job pays less than that, then you will be miserable living in Toronto. Toronto has the second, if not the highest cost of living in Canada. No, actually, let me rephrase. Toronto has one of the highest costs of living in the whole world. With a $100K annually, you're looking at around $5,600 in monthly take-home income. With average rent in Toronto at $2,500, you're already in the danger zone, spending almost half of your income on rent. And that's today. This can easily go higher a few months from now. Average salaries, unfortunately, don't go up nearly as fast enough. You will feel the high costs everywhere: transportations, groceries, entertainment, utilities. So if entertainment and dining options are the things that attract you the most in Toronto, you'd better make sure that your income can sustain your lifestyle. Ideally, you want to be at $130K annual or more to enjoy everything the city has to offer. You can also be in a power couple where both partners make at least $100K. It will make things much easier for you. The tricky part is that Toronto's average salary is $62,000 annual. I'm curious how it compares to the average salary from your home. Let me know in the comments below.
Building on a previous point, Toronto is a very competitive job market, and it can be challenging, if not frustrating, to find work in certain industries since there is hundreds of candidates for the same highly desired role. It's a financial and technological hub of Canada. Canadians from all over Canada and newcomers from all over the world come here in order to fulfill their Canadian dream and build career. With that, it's a career-oriented city. My Montreal friends call Toronto transactional. It's all business, no fun and no soul. And that's true. It's common among friends to schedule drinks or coffee meetups in their calendars. And dating in Toronto may oftentimes feel like an interview where both of you are just profiling each other on whether or not this person is worth the hour of your time in their schedule. It takes a certain mindset to decide to come to the hyper-competitive and uber-expensive place like Toronto. For some, like myself, it was a phase in life where I was eager to prove myself and maximize my earnings, which I did, and it was fun. But this lifestyle is not always sustainable, especially if you have a family or value other things in life. If you're a newcomer to Toronto and you're looking for a first job, don't be surprised if your hiring process takes months, and you will have to be ready to network a lot, build connections, and keep spinning like a cog in the machine. You've got to play the game to be successful, and then maybe you will get the chance to create your own rules. Staying happy and successful in Toronto requires a laser-sharp focus on money and career. Some people find it tiring and call it a rat race, and complain that grinding hard and working hard just to spend most of your income on the living expenses is simply not worth it. So maybe you should not move to Toronto if you don't plan on making your career central to your life for the next 2 to 3 years. By the way, if you want to maximize your chances for success in Toronto or anywhere in Canada, we offer career coaching sessions where Anastasia and I help you build your resume, define your job search and networking strategy, and get ready to land your dream job in Canada. Both Anastasia and I moved to Toronto 4 years ago after receiving 6-digit job offers in competitive fields. It took a lot of research in order to build the right resume, reach out to the right people at the right time, and pass all the interviews with flying colors. Use the link below if you want to learn how you can do that too.
If you're used to driving everywhere comfortably, and having your own car means a lot to you, then you will probably get really frustrated in Toronto. Toronto is the worst city for traffic in Canada, and it's the 30th worst in the world according to TomTom data. Those who live and drive in Toronto spend an average of 77 hours per year in traffic. That's 39 books you could have read in a year in that time. The city has added almost 2 million residents in the last 20 years, and the bad news is that infrastructure kind of forgot to catch up with such population growth. The roads, interchanges, and highways have largely remained the same, except now it's serving a lot more people commuting back and forth daily, and that creates the most frustrating traffic jams I have ever experienced. There's never been a moment when I didn't get stuck in traffic leaving or coming into Toronto. It's just this never-ending flow of metal boxes on wheels 24/7. There's a long-running meme about Toronto being an hour away from Toronto. And the saddest part is that oftentimes it's more like an hour and a half away from Toronto. Oh, and if you do manage to get to your destinations on time, good luck finding parking. Street parking is $7 an hour, while other parking spaces will easily ask for $30 per hour or more. And we're not even going to mention car insurance costs. Well, we actually will. It's just freakishly expensive. As a newcomer with no driving history in Canada, your insurance premium will cost around $400 a month. So yeah, if you're considering Toronto a love to buy or keep your car, stay farther away from Toronto and consider Greater Toronto Area. And then you're probably thinking, I can use public transit instead. Well, let's talk about that.
Toronto public transportation system sucks. It's better than many other North American cities, yes, but it's miles away from European or Asian standard of quality. We already know that Toronto's population grew by almost 20% in the last 20 years. And just like infrastructure, the public transit remained pretty much the same. Construction upgrades happen so slowly that this year, in 2023, there is still no Wi-Fi access on subway trains. And stations still have no platform safety screen doors, and construction on Eglinton Crosstown LRT line that started in 2011 and promised to be delivered in 2022 is still ongoing. It's just a joke at this point. And just like all old things, everything breaks all the time. Both subways lines and tram lines often stop malfunctioning when it rains or snows. And no, buses are not immune to disruptions too. You will remember my words when you're in Toronto in minus 25 degrees Celsius during winter, waiting for your bus, checking its arrival time on online maps, counting minutes, and it just doesn't show up and simply disappears from the map. And that's not all. If all else finally works, you better stay alert. It's getting increasingly unsafe to ride in public transit. So what can you do about it? Well, we surely cannot recommend driving, so I guess just don't move to Toronto.
Waiting for your bus in cold sounds horrible, right? How about waiting in the line to get a table in your favorite bar or restaurant for an hour or even more? I once had to wait for an hour outside a restaurant in minus 15 cold in winter just to get a table and be rushed to eat my breakfast in 60 minutes because apparently other people standing in the cold had to be served before closing too. Toronto is a big city, and whenever there's something new and exciting happening and you want to check it out, no doubt half of the city will be there too. There are lines and crowds everywhere. Beaches, parks, shops, theaters, clinics, bars, cafes, restaurants, and if there are no waiting lines, then you're just stuck waiting for your reservation time to come next month or a month after. At some point, you start thinking, not only is going out expensive in Toronto, it's just so crowded everywhere, so by the time you actually get to enjoy something, you're already tired of waiting. These crowds and lineups also affect healthcare, so don't be surprised if you have to wait for your procedure or lab test for 6 months or more. I wish we had a workaround for avoiding lineups and waiting times, and our workaround was to leave Toronto.
This point kind of goes along with a few other points we've already made. There is a high level of noise pollution in the city. Never-ending construction, traffic, and ambulances fly by narrow streets surrounded by glass and concrete skyscrapers, creating continuous echoes that turns into a constant never-ending white noise. The downtown is surrounded by highways, which amplifies all the city noise even more. The city simply never sleeps. And not just because of parties, but also because all the noise keeps you awake, especially ambulances and their sirens at 2 a.m. in the morning. People strive to escape the city whenever they can, flocking to nearby parks and out of the city. As a result, The parks get crowded and noisy as well. If you are from quaint, cozy town, then you will be overwhelmed by Toronto. So what's your verdict? Do you think Toronto is the right place for you? Toronto is large, but so are the opportunities, and for that you'd need to make many sacrifices. Do you think it's worth it? Let us know in the comments below. Personally, after living and truly enjoying our time in Toronto, we think that the true essence of Canada is outside of Toronto. It's outside Vancouver or Montreal. It is the smaller cities and tight-knit communities that make Canada the way it is. Ideally, you would move to the city where you find a good job in your field. And if you can work remotely, you can live anywhere. There are so many affordable and beautiful cities in Canada, and we made 2 videos about Western and Eastern Canada, so make sure to check them out. If you want to connect with the fellow newcomers, make sure to join our Facebook group. We have a very strong growing community. And a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. Thank you. If you want to support the work we do, you can do that by following the link to our Patreon. Another great way to support us is to simply hit the like button below this video and subscribe to this channel. This simple gesture will let YouTube know that this video was valuable for you and that more people should see this. Thank you for watching, and we'll definitely see you in the next one. Take care!